So today I want to talk to you about opportunity, specifically opportunity that presents itself when you least expect it. I'm a big believer in recognizing and always trying to take advantage of opportunities as they approach. Now, no other team in the NFL over the last 5 years has done a better job at taking advantage of opportunities than the Philadelphia Eagles. Whether it's the Eagles trading up to get a quarterback like Carson Wentz, to trading your starting quarterback a week before the season in Sam Stinkford, or signing your quarterback, your franchise quarterback, to an extension at the perfect time, or double moonwalking the medical staff's ass when need be. The Philadelphia Eagles take advantage of opportunity better than anybody that I've seen in a long, long time. Well, guess what, Eagle fans? Guess what? Opportunity may be presenting itself again, and we should all focus our attention to Jacksonville, Florida.
Still the cowboy, Mr. McLean. You Americans are all alike. But this time, John Wayne doesn't walk into the sunset with Grace Kelly. Scary Cooper, asshole!
Oh shit! Oh shit! That was crazy!
Happy trails, Hans. Dallas still stinks.
You're my boo! King Ding back here, and I hope everybody's having a great day. Hope you're doing well. It is 104 degrees here. It is hot, and I am packing, getting ready to go to Vegas. I got a bunch of errands to do, a bunch of stuff to do, but I wanted to take this opportunity. I wanted to take the opportunity to come tell you what's on my mind and my heart about the Philadelphia Eagles, and that is opportunity. So I wanted to take the opportunity to make a video about opportunity for the Philadelphia Eagles. Hey! It's the rantings of King Dingbat. What could I say? But, for those of you that have known me for a while, you know I'm very much a what-if type person. I like to talk about all the possibilities, all the scenarios, no matter how likely or unlikely they are. And I've done that with a lot of things that have come to fruition for the Eagles and a lot of things that have not. You could think back to Sam Bradford getting traded a week before starting the season, right? Well, I was talking about that before it happened. Then, Jordan Matthews getting traded for a corner. We talked about that before it happens. This past draft, I said, you got to go offense early and often in this draft. And it happened. Why? Because these were opportunities that presented itself for the Philadelphia Eagles. And when you look at all the opportunities, when they're right in front of you, you can see some of these things happen. Now, they don't always happen, but a lot of times they do. And if they don't happen, that doesn't mean the Eagles didn't try to make it happen. Remember Shady McCoy getting traded from Buffalo? I did a video on that. What did the Eagles do? They contacted Buffalo about Shady McCoy. Talk about Khalil Mack last year. The Eagles contacted the Raiders and talked about Khalil Mack. Some opportunities aren't worth it. Some are. And what I'm looking at right now in Jacksonville is a possible scenario in which the Eagles may be able to get a defensive end in a trade because he is holding out and he is not happy, and the Jaguars may have no choice but to trade him. Now, the player I'm talking about is the Jaguars pass rusher, Yannick Ngakoue. Now, if I'm saying that wrong, I'm sorry. I only know the sound he makes when he hits quarterbacks, okay? And he hits them a lot. So, I don't know if I'm saying his name right or wrong, but he is one hell of a player. And he is in the last year of his contract, which he's only going to make, I believe, $2 million this year for. And he's holding out of minicamps, and it's going to be very interesting because a lot of people think he's going to hold out in training camp. And if he does, an opportunity may present itself once again for the Philadelphia Eagles to add to what I think is already the best roster in the NFL. Yannick Ngakoue has been maybe one of the most productive, if not the most productive, edge rushers over the last several years. He's a young kid. He was a third-round pick, and he's not getting paid what he wants to. And if the Eagles could get him somehow and have him with Derek Barnett on the other side, you would have the best pass rush in the National Football League, bar none, and I think it would put the Eagles over the top. I mean, I already think the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl anyways, but I think that this would just make it that much easier. This kid is one hell of a player. For those of you that don't know who Yannick Ngakoue is, He is a 6'2", 245-pound pass rusher for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's 24 years old. He was drafted in the 3rd round in 2016, and since then, he's been the most consistent pass rusher in the National Football League. He has 29.5 sacks. He has the most pressures, more than anybody in the National Football League. The guy is an absolute stud. He is in the last year of his contract. He is making $2 million, and he wants a raise. Now, he's going to want a raise somewhere in that DeMarcus Lawrence raise range, and I think he's worth it. I think he's definitely worth it. Now, the problem for the Jaguars is they're like $6 million under the cap right now. They've got a lot of young guys like Miles Jack, guys that they have to re-sign. I think they told Jalen Ramsey they're not extending him, so he's going to walk. So you have to watch out for that opportunity when it presents itself down the road. But Yannick Ngakoue he wants a raise. He wants a new contract. And the Jaguars, we don't know what they're going to do. They don't have a lot of money. And by all counts, it sounds like he's going to hold out during training camp. Don't forget, the Jaguars also drafted Josh Allen. Josh Allen is a stud. He's, in my opinion, is probably the best football player in the draft. And getting him may allow the Jaguars to move Ngakoue if the opportunity presents itself. Now, I know you don't like to let pass rushers go, but when you're cap strapped, you have other young guys you have to sign, okay, and you have to get signed and under contract coming up after this year, and you already have a guy like Josh Allen who is basically going to play with Ngakoue could play in his spot. You may have the opportunity where you may move Ngakoue and they may try to trade him, creating an opportunity for the Philadelphia Eagles to get one of the best pass rushers in the National Football League and pair him up with Fletcher Cox and Derek Barnett. Now, I know you may be saying, he's a lot of money, the Eagles can't afford it. When I hear that argument, I cringe, because you know and I know that the Eagles can make anything work that they want to. They can do it. And the Eagles value pass rushers, so why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they, okay? The Eagles, they called last year, talked to the Raiders about Khalil Mack. They talked to all the teams about possibility of getting pass rushers. The Eagles value pass rushers like nobody else. And if you can bring Yannick Ngakoue in this year and sign him to a contract, don't forget, Carson Wentz's contract, his contract doesn't really kill us against the cap. It doesn't really kick in until 2021. So the Eagles are in a situation where they still have money. They could upfront this guy a lot of money, and then by the time you get to the 3rd year, it starts to be less and less. So the Eagles can take care of this. The Eagles can make it happen if they really want to. And I got to tell you, okay, I think he's probably a little cheaper than Jadeveon Clowney, but he's going to be expensive, and I think that he is better. He's been healthy. He plays. And I don't know if the Jaguars want to get rid of him or not. I don't know what they're going to do. But if this guy holds out during training camp, you got to keep your eyes wide open, because something may happen. Teams, especially, look, you're dealing with Coughlin, right? You're dealing with Coughlin don't like you. He don't like you coming to like meetings on time. You have to be early or you're considered late if you're on time. He's a whack job. So basically what I'm saying is, you know how frustrated he is going to be at this guy holding out during training camp if he does. It's going to drive him nuts. And they're going to say, well, we got all these other guys to sign and we got Josh Allen. Maybe we should try to move him. And they may do it. Now, what is it going to cost? I have no idea. But I would give a first-round pick for a 24-year-old defensive end who's a Pro Bowl type guy. He had 9.5 sacks last year. I think he could be a 13, 14 sack a year guy. You put him with Fletcher, Barnett, like I said, and your defensive line is the best in the National Football League. So I look at this as a possible situation to keep your eye on. I'm not saying the Eagles are going to do it. There's been anything about the Eagles trading for him. Okay, I did read a couple articles where beat writers were talking about Seattle trying to trade for him and Miami Dolphins trying to trade for him, but not the Eagles. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't keep our eye on it. You got to keep your eye on it. You got to keep your eye on opportunities when they present themselves. And if this guy holds out during training camp, I think the Eagles should jump all over it, and they should at the very least, approach the Jaguars and see if the Jaguars would be willing to trade him, because he is that good of a player. So just remember what King Dingbat says. Take advantage of all opportunities, and anything is possible. And this preseason, this training camp, keep your eye on Yannick Ngakoue and if he shows up for training camp, because if he doesn't, the Eagles could have a perfect opportunity for a Pro Bowl defensive end. Now, what I want to talk about now is the Eagles and some things that went on today. The Eagles are holding minicamp. They practiced today, and by all accounts, Carson Wentz was sharp. He was great. He looked good on 7-on-7s. He looked good on 11-on-11s. They were doing a lot of red zone work. I think he had 3 straight red zone touchdowns. They were doing formations where they had Ertz, Goddard, and Arcega-Whiteside all on the field in the red zone, which I think is a very, very good sign. They even did a flea flicker where Carson threw a touchdown pass 30-something yards to Arcega-Whiteside, and it sounds very exciting. Carson sounds like he's going to have a big year. I mean, he sounds really healthy. He looks really good. He looks really sharp, and that's always an important thing. Now, I heard Nate Sudfeld struggled. I heard Thorson struggled. They didn't have good days. Carson did. So, hey, Carson has to stay healthy. That's the main thing. The other thing that I took out of minicamp today was Miles Sanders has a hamstring problem. He has a hamstring problem. He is going to sit out all mandatory camp here. And you hate to see that because he's a young guy. You want him to get the work in with the players, with the team. You want him to get the reps. You want him to be ready. A lot of these mandatory mini camps and OT, a lot of this stuff, guys like Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey, they don't take a lot of reps, a lot of snaps. They'll get some, but they don't get a lot. A lot of the younger guys do because they're trying to get them used to things and incorporated into stuff. So Miles Sanders is missing mandatory minicamp, and I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing. I think he can recover, as long as he's ready to go training camp and preseason, he can recover. It may take him a little bit longer to get going, but, we'll just have to see. The most important thing for Miles Sanders is he has to be healthy, and his hamstring has to be fully healed. The one thing about these hamstrings is if you're not fully healed from it, it can linger on for weeks. We've seen players go a whole year with hamstring problems. So let him rest. Let him not worry about mandatory minicamp, and hopefully by preseason, hopefully by training camp, he's ready to go, and we'll have to keep our eye out on that. And those are pretty much the 2 main things that I really took today out of minicamp. Now, they're going to be practicing the rest of the week, so we'll be updating that as much as I can, except for when I'm traveling. But we'll see. The other thing I want to talk about real quick with the Eagles is they fired their chief medical staff today, okay? They fired 2 guys, I think. But this is not a surprise. This is thank God that they got rid of these guys, because I think it has to do with Carson Wentz. I think it has something to do with the inability to find what was wrong with him last year in October when he had a bad back, which might have made his back worse, which made him miss the year. And look at all the other guys. There's been players on other teams now and guys, old Eagles, that have complained about the medical staff and misdiagnosing and things like that. Remember Emmanuel Acho, he complained. Jordan Matthews complained. There are guys that complained about the medical staff for a while now. So the Eagles get rid of them. They bring somebody else in. I don't know who these guys' names are. I don't know what they do. I just know that they're supposed to be doctors or whatever, and that they really screwed the pooch with Carson Wentz last year, because he was on the list for back every week, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with him until it was too late, till his whole season was thrown away. We've had too many injuries over the last few years, too many, and it can't happen. And I think that getting rid of these doctors and changing staff is a great thing. Great, I love it. I think it's a great move. It may be one of the most underrated moves in the whole entire NFL offseason. Maybe the Eagles changing medical staff, and I think they needed to. I wanted them gone after they screwed up the whole Carson Wentz thing, and it'll be interesting. So that's my thoughts on it today. I'm going to get back to packing and running errands. I'll be headed to Vegas. And when I'm in Vegas, by the way, because I won't have my computer and it's a little harder editing, I might do more live streams. I may try to do some more. I always talk about wanting to do more live streams. So it would be a good opportunity while I'm there to do it, because I don't have to edit in a live stream. So look for those next week and later this week or whatever, when I, all that kind of stuff. And with that said, I want to know what you think. Am I nuts? Am I the dingest bat of all dingbats ever? Or am I right? You have to take advantage of opportunity. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. Don't be a dingbat.